There we go. Yeah, so we're the team working on review board this semester. So we're going to give a quick presentation on what we're going to be doing in the coming months. Next slide.
Oh, sorry.
So first, introductions of the team. So we have 3 mentors this semester, Christian, David, and Mike. So we're quite a large team. And all the students, Anita, Clarissa, Matthew, Michael, Leon, myself, and Seth. Next slide. So what is Review Board? So Review Board is an open source web-based code and document review tool. So something similar to what you've used like GitHub, where you can make changes in your local code base, and then you can post them onto the, like a server like GitHub, and then you can make pull requests with reviewers. So Review Board is something like that, except it's been around for about 15 years now. So the special thing about Review Board is that it's highly customizable. And so anybody who's using Review Board can create their own extensions to fit their needs of whatever company or project they're working on. And so Review Board makes it really easy to review code and version controls, and it makes it really easy for teams to be able to work together and commit to the same code base. And instead of doing pull requests on Review Board, there's something called code requests, and that's a superset of pull requests. So it does everything that pull requests can do, but a lot more as well. Next slide. So there's a image of the where you can see a lot of the code requests posted. So you can see the authors and then a short summary of what each code request is doing. And then if you click on it, you can actually see all the issues, the differences in the code, and you can comment or approve any changes. Next slide. So what did we do during this code sprint? So we, first of all, made sure that everybody had their development environment set up. Sorry. And then we looked at all the projects available. So because of our team size, we've actually split off into 2 separate teams, which we'll talk about later. But every person has their own project, and it's like a small component, and they range from easy to long-term and very difficult. We also were able to fix some bugs on Review Board, some easy bugs. And then this allowed us to get familiar with the workflow of code reviews and how to post changes to Review Board and the code base as well. And then we learned more about this code base during some seminars that went over, I guess, the overview and the technologies used in Review Board. Next slide. Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, we're split into 2 teams. So the first team is RB Tools. So Review Board Tools is the command line interface for Review Board. So this is how you post your commits to the Review Board server, and then all of the other things that have to do with the command line. So some of the projects that we're doing this year, the first one is just we want to standardize file locations so that it's easier for users. And then the next one, the post commit hooks, that just means that we're trying to standardize the repository hooks that were used so that it's easier to create post commit hook scripts. And then the next one is we're trying to optimize the user experience by telling users some important configurations that they should fill out in order to make Review Board run faster. And then the last one is just a wrapper around the output of certain command line commands so that it's easier for testing. And then we can also easily change how we want to output information.
Great, and I'll take it over from here. So another team will be the review board experience, so working with the UI and developing some features there. So just some of the projects that'll be tackled. So one is having a background color selector for when images are reviewed, especially for those with like a white background that are difficult to see. We can change the background so it's easier to view for the user. And then there's also another project will be lazy load collapse review content. So just a more dynamic viewing of older collapse reviews. So just as they're loaded up, that it's loaded for the user. And then there's another project of adding a color blindness simulator for image review. And then also for the review board UI, having allowing it to deal with zips, tarbals, and other archive files. And some cool things that we learned this code sprint. So we just kind of learned a little bit about the history of View Board, where it started and where we're kind of going with it. We learned more about the system architecture. We were really thankful to get a really thorough deep dive into the different components of the review board system. And we kind of learned about the standards for kind of doing good code reviews and how it's done at review board. And how to use a review board for code reviews, which we're going to be using kind of for our code review tool this semester, so we get more used to it and understand more of what users, how users interact with it and how they use it, and then also kind of and just how it's used also by clients. And from that, we kind of also learned some cool and interesting things about your review board. So it's been around for about 15 years. It's used internationally, and also it's really highly extensible for clients to kind of integrate and adapt it for their different needs. Because each company is not the same, and they have their kind of own unique needs that's easy for to add on to a review board, or to adapt review board, I should say. And then also it's also an interesting open source that it's funded through through the review board SaaS service, the RB Commons, and also through paid support and paid feature add-on called PowerPack. And then just some notable companies that use it, companies like LinkedIn, VMware, Cisco, Juniper Networks, Apache, Nokia, Boeing, and Yelp. And they all use review board. So that's the end of the presentation. Was there any questions?